Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're reviewing the new BMW XM. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering the XM is a twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8 that's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission and a hybrid system. Total system output is 644 horsepower and then 590 pound-feet of torque. Now, being a plug-in hybrid, this has an MPGe rating of 46. It can get 14 miles per gallon combined between city and highway driving without any hybrid assistance, and then it has 31 miles of electric driving range. Now, before we go over the front end of the XM, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, it's absolutely massive to see in person, and then it is raised there on either side, which looks pretty unique. Now, popping down below, we've got BMW's split light design, so you can see the daytime running lights, and then you got the headlights in a separate area. And then we have the XM's famous or infamous grille, depending on how you see it. It's illuminated, which is actually really cool, but you do have the XM logo, and then you can see parking sensors here at the bottom. And putting it all together, this is definitely an in-your-face design when it comes to styling. So tire and wheel setup is 275, 40, 22 in the front, and then 315, 35, 22 in the rear. And then you guys can see with the wheel design, it's actually mostly closed off for aerodynamic efficiency, but it also actually looks pretty cool. Got the red brake caliper as well. So we've got these body painted fender flares here, charging port here on the side. On top of that, XM logo on top of the charging port area. And then notice how like all the trim is blacked out on this one. And here's your full side view on the XM. Definitely distinctive, but it has kind of a sport SUV look. Notice how like the hips in the back are wider. Now here is the key fob. We have our lock function that also doubles as a remote start. We have our unlock. You got the opening here for the hatch, and yeah, it's pretty cool looking key fob, that's for sure. Now, popping inside, we've got quite a bit of cargo space. You guys can see we've got the cargo cover here at the top, and I like this right here. I think that's pretty cool. That's just the bag, by the way, for the charging cable. And when you're all done, just press that button and that will lower the hatch right back down. Now, taking a look at the taillights, I think the design on them is really cool. So you can see how it pops on and everything. I don't know, I think that's neat. And then also on the side as well. Anyways, XM badge here, and then we've got the exhaust tips that look like rocket boosters on the back. And putting it all together, being completely blacked out, I think definitely benefits the XM quite a bit when it comes to styling. But let me know what you guys think about the style. Now, taking a look at the door panel in the back, you guys can see really nice leather trim all over. And then I love the look of the speakers for the Bowers & Wilkins sound system. I think it looks pretty cool. And then you got BMW's normal door handle. And then here are the seats. Really cool design. We got the pillows with them as well, which is pretty fancy. But yeah, I love the look of the stitching and everything. And even here on the side, they actually have leather, which kind of makes it feel more upscale. Now, the back here is actually really good. We've got a little storage pocket. We have this for some charging port action. Vents here in the back. We've got our own climate zones here for either passenger, heated seats. Got a bunch of charging ports down below as well. Of course, we have a cup holder armrest, and I love the trim here on the front face. It's really cool looking. And then headroom, it's good. Now, taking a look at the front door panel, you guys can see again with all of the leather trim and even stitching here on the lower portions. We've got all of our window controls here, our mirror adjustments. Mirrors do power fold in, memory seats. You've got also the massage seat function as well, which is really nice. And then we have blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Now, taking a look at the seats, you guys can see XM there, and then perforated leather all down the center. We've got all of our adjustments, including bolster adjustment, which is nice. Pedals down below, and then we've got our light controls here, and look at all of the stitching and everything. And then we've got carbon fiber trim right there. Steering wheel is power adjustable. So taking a look at the steering wheel, we've got really nice leather trim all around. The M colors there on the center with our M logo. Carbon fiber paddle shifters here on the back, and we got our M1 and M2 modes, and then your regular, BMW switchgear on the front of the steering wheel for like the cruise control, voice command controls, all the normal stuff. So here is the gauge cluster, really cool overall. You guys can see we've got over 500 miles of driving range, and if we put it in the M1 mode, notice it'll kind of change. That's the fully electric mode, and then I have to hold it down for a second to get into M2. I will say the M1 and M2 buttons, to get it like into the modes, it's kind of frustrating sometimes, but yeah, pretty cool look there. And then obviously You've got the different like whole setups for the drive modes. We'll go over those in a little bit, but overall I think cool gauge cluster. Now this does come with a 360 camera system, which is nice because it's a pretty large sized SUV, and resolution with it is fantastic. This also has stuff like self-park and all of that, like, you know, all the modern luxury car stuff. As for the rest of the infotainment system, overall response time with the system itself is actually really good. It does take a second for some of the pages, though, to load up. But one of the cool parts is the M mode, so you can switch with the different setups. So like this is what the sport setup looks like, for example. It's pretty cool with the overall look. But yeah, I'd say pretty easy to use infotainment system. It's BMW's newer unit they have in a bunch of cars. More carbon fiber trim, and then you got tons of leather trim on the dash. I do like the ambient lighting in here, too. I think that looks pretty cool. And then you got little volume control here at the bottom of that area. And we have this little carbon fiber panel that hides the wireless phone charging pad, some cup holders. We got heated and cooled cup holders. That's pretty neat. And I guess we just have to pull it back into place. Now here is the center console area. So you've got this for the infotainment system if you don't use the touchscreen function. We've got the shifter for the 8-speed automatic. Stability control, you've got this for the camera system, your parking sensors, and then you got your whole setup here. So if you press this, it'll pop it up with the drive mode setup. Got your M mode. You've got your hybrid. This is the exhaust to make it louder or quieter. Hill descent control, funny enough. Got your parking brake. And then here's the center console. Good storage space. Got some nice trim here on top of it. And then while we're on storage, here's the glove box. It's also pretty big. Got some nice trim on the outside of that. And no sunroof, but we do have cool ambient lighting at the top, which kind of has a nice effect to it. Okay, so sorry, this is just on my phone, but here's a window sticker. Basically, after all options on this particular one, $165,000 is the MSRP. Let's see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood, and hopefully you can now see the heads-up display. Both the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring, and throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So for the first part of the review, I want to just have it in fully electric mode, which we do. And then I pretty much charge it up all the way so you guys can actually see what it drives like. And it's actually really good in the full electric mode. Like, it's got engine popped on there. It's got good acceleration. It's not like insane with the acceleration, but it's pretty good, and it's seamless with turning the engine off. Honestly, it's a pretty good plug-in hybrid system. Some plug-in hybrids, it seems like there's just a lack of, not a lack of communication, but like a difficult communication between the engine and the electric side of things. But I think this car does a really good job of combining both of those. Now, being an XM, definitely drives more like an M car. I mean, stiffer with the suspension. It's not bad, but yeah, definitely stiffer with the suspension. And you can kind of feel that, you know, performance and handling was at the forefront of what they were thinking of with this car. And it does do regen as you're slowing down too, so you can get some of that charge back. And oh, speaking of M cars, looks like a M3 right there. But yeah, I mean, look at that. That's like very reasonable for the acceleration. It does turn the engine on like pretty quickly though, but reasonable with the acceleration. Okay, so I've got it in the M1 mode here, which is the fully electric mode. I mean, it's reasonable with the acceleration. It's actually like reasonably quick with the get up and go in the full electric mode, so I think that's pretty impressive. Okay, so we've got it in the M2 mode. Yeah, the acceleration is pretty crazy. It's like super aggressive, and you also have a manual mode that you can use with the paddles, obviously. Got some crackles out of the back, which is fun. Transmission's kind of like, it's like lurchy in a sense. I don't know if it's this. So this is a press car, obviously. So it's you know, sometimes the press cars aren't up to full production car standards. But yeah, like when I have this at the most aggressive setting with the shift points, it sometimes jumps when you shift with it. Yeah, so pulling back just to the previous aggression level, so 2 instead of 3, that helps out a lot. 3, I feel like, is just, I think if you're gonna do 3, you probably want to have it in automatic mode. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So setting things up with the XM, I feel like this car's been pretty controversial. Like every other post I see on Instagram about this car is about how ugly it is. And I can say, like, blacked out, it actually doesn't look that bad, because like it's not as shouty about some of the weird design things, especially on the front end. So I think blacked out actually looks pretty good. The interior on this, here's my problem with this car. This interior is very nice, really nice fit and finish, really nice build quality. But it's not any nicer than like an X5, or like, I hope you guys get what I'm saying. Like, this is supposed to be like a special car, and it doesn't. I mean, this is just an X5M interior, basically, is what this feels like to me, but it's way more money. And then when it comes to driving experience, the plug-in hybrid part's cool, but at the same time, this is not like the most economical plug-in hybrid. Again, it's got a twin-turbo V8. It's cool, but also, again, X5M. So I think this is a cool, I guess, like, what's the word for it? I don't know, like something that for BMW to try out. But ultimately, I think that, you know, an X5M or an X5M competition, I'd rather get one of those over this, because the styling looks more normal. And, you know, although the plug-in hybrid has good power, this doesn't feel any faster than an X5M. This feels pretty similar in terms of the acceleration. But let me know what you guys think about the XM.